Hihane
Good
washte
morning.
chue.
Good morning. I hope everybody is doing well out there. You'll have to bear with me this morning. I have a little head cold, so I may sound different, and I may do a little coughing in between times. But I want to wish you all a very good day on Betuwash Day, and let's start off with a little prayer here, and then I will talk a little bit about the Pow Wow Regalia, or dance regalias this morning. Ambetule Tankashila, Wopila Tanka, Ake, Ambetua El Uhipi Yunka, Daku Itoka Elgled, Eaglin, Daku Uye, whatever you show us, Tankashila, that we may learn from it. Hedataku Unkuspel Nahat, we Wikihan le ungana o snina ha ungana ho kujabina tungashle ejoftikil echakatana ha. Make them well and keep them safe, because we are probably going to be having a lot of illnesses this winter. So I just pray that that we send our prayers out to all. Good morning, everybody. I came back from our last big powwow, as we call it, in Rapid City, South Dakota. The last of the powwows, where everybody, we had a lot of people. We just couldn't even fit everybody into the dance floor. That's how many people were there. But the Hesapa powwow in Rapid City, South Dakota is usually the last big competition powwow that they have for the season. And we have so many people there from different tribes, because the prize money has been good. And I just wanted to go ahead and share with you, as some of you may gone to powwows, or probably have not ever gone to powwows. You have so many different assortments of regalia out there. The men wear the feathers, the ribbons, the women the buckskins, the cowrie shell dresses, But I don't think a lot of people really understand what all the meanings are. And from the way I was told, and because of the time that I used to dance, I had to have the lessons of why I wear the regalia, the feathers, the beads, and everything else. And today our young people, I think, totally forget. It's all pretty much a way of saying, okay, I'm gonna. I guess the evolution of our ways is pretty much instilled into the powwows as well. But from what I learned when I first started dancing, and believe it or not, when I first started dancing, I was dancing the boys' dance, the traditional and the fancy. I mean, at that time we weren't as fancy as what you see out there with the fancy dancers. But one of the things that my father used to say was, everything that you wear is made by somebody's hands, a time committed, and also to know that a lot of the animals have sacrificed themselves so that you could use them in your regalia. So the way I was taught was, everything that you do and that you made with these regalia was done with prayers, because, again, like I said, the animals have sacrificed. The roaches that the men wear and that I had was basically the headgear was made out of porcupine and deer. And so as that was made, my father spent a lot of time making that, and I know it was done with diligence and probably a lot of patience, because A lot of hard work goes into a lot of the beadwork. The eagle feathers that I wore basically were selected by my father. Apparently, I mean, in the days that we were able to have a lot of eagle feathers. He selected the feathers, and each one of them was basically made out into this bustle, as we call it, and it all went with prayers. And apparently, the eagle has been held with high regards. So that was kind of like a big significance that we were honored to wear the eagle feathers in our regalia. The beadwork, again, as some of you know, it takes a long time, and they say because it's a God-given gift. This is a gift that was given to us as a skill. A lot of it goes in with prayers, and sometimes a long time ago, my father said that a lot of the divines were kind of like a coat of arms, that it belonged to that person. The designs and everything meant something. So they used to make the designs, the beadwork designs, out of symbols for that person. Nowadays, I don't think people really understand, a lot of the designs, because it's all pretty much intermingled in regards to different tribes. And as you see now, there's so many designs and so many regalia out there that's just intermingled with different tribes that you don't even know, that you don't even recognize what tribe a person is from when they wear the regalia. But some of the traditional people will go ahead and you could tell what tribe they are from because of the beadwork and the style of their headgear or the bustles. And very seldom you see that anymore. But long time ago, my father used to say, once you take out your regalia, you smudge it. You smudge it with sage, and sweet grass to put positive energy in it, because you're going into a crowd and you never know. And I didn't understand this at the time, but he used to say there's a lot of energy out there, and he didn't actually use a word, but he said you never know that there's bad medicine out there too. So in his way, he used to say bad medicine, but this was basically, I think in my interpretation, he would say there's a lot of different energies out there, and you had to protect yourself, as well as knowing that when you go into a crowd, especially men that dance, they wear protection. I think they all smudge their regalia before they go out, but some of them wear a little bundle of medicine or tobacco tie on their regalia. And the reason why is because they're going into a crowd where you never know when there's females on their moon, as I call it. So that's basically a way that they protect themselves, and it's like, from the bad energy, as well as, keeping themselves, like they don't get hurt, they don't pull a muscle or twist their ankle or anything like that when they're out there on the dance floor. But in regards to a lot of the regalia that people don't understand, the ladies, if you see the buckskin dresses, if some of you have gone out to see the powwows, if you've seen the heavy-duty buckskin dresses I wore, just one time, my father spent the whole year making a buckskin dress so I could dance, and I wore it one time, and it went in the flood, and after that. But when you see the buckskin dress with all the beadwork up on top, you're carrying around at least 80 pounds, maybe up to 100 pounds with that buckskin dress. So can you imagine how heavy and how warm it is to wear a buckskin dress, and especially when you're in a crowd, it gets so hot.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look, like even the dentillium shells, they say that was traded with the people on the eastern coast. You know, the cowrie shells. Some of them, they have elk teeth, and the elk teeth don't come very easily, and those trades are made long time ago with people, the tribes that lived up in the mountains. They gathered the elk teeth because they were able to get the elk. You know, they killed elk for their food.
Mm-hmm.
So they were able to have access to a lot of the elk teeth. And I tell you, elk teeth is pretty expensive to get when
Mm-hmm.
you're trying to put those on your regalia. The other thing I wanted to point out to you is all these costumes probably cost over thousands and thousands of dollars. And I was asked one time, in regards to why do you charge so much? Well, it's not charging so much. I think they don't really understand in regards to the time, the prayers that I put into my beadwork. But the other part of it is I've done beadwork for the poorest grandma.
Mm-hmm.
She has so much pride and honor to have a granddaughter dance, that no matter how some of these people don't have the income, they will go out of their way to go ahead and get the regalia. They'll make the regalia. Sometimes it takes a whole family to put a regalia together.
Mm-hmm.
They will go ahead and barter services, you know, to get all this. But it really is an honor when somebody dances, because they say, as we dance too, those are prayers. And one of the stories that my dad had taught me was the origination of some of these stories. Of dances was basically they emulated animals, and one of the ones was the prairie chicken. Was my dad used to say is basically the dance. The men came from the prairie chicken, and there was some warriors that were out there hunting. Excuse me. Tatanka, the buffaloes, and all of a sudden they heard some noise like somebody was singing, and they happened to look over the ridge here, and here there were some prairie chickens, and they were just singing and dancing. So they watched the prairie chickens dance, and that's where these guys kind of picked up the steps of saying, hey, this is basically what we're supposed to learn how to do. You know, they're dancing, they're praying. So I guess they went back and they told them. So the other people decided to watch your prairie chickens, and here that's apparently one of the ways that some of our dances started.
Wow.
Is there any questions out there? Or?
Everybody is commenting on how they can't imagine dancing in the heat with 80 pounds or more of heavy beadwork and buckskin on. That's just amazing.
It really is. And these dancers, they do practice or probably keep in shape all year round, especially the fancy dancers, the men dancers, or jingle fancy dancers, shawl dancers. Mm-hmm. They all keep in shape, and they also know for the fact that before they go out dancing, they need to drink a lot of Gatorade or anything that has what do you call
the electrolytes in it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they need to do that, and of course they also, have their own homemade remedies in regards to the concoction that they may use to rub their legs with and whatever. But understanding the regalia, again, Halloween comes around, and more so, I think people are being aware that that the Native American costume is an honor, and there is symbolism in the costume. So, in the regalia. So it's not a costume to us, and I think that's why a lot of people get offended, when Halloween comes around and you find the stores selling, the little work bonnets and different things. It's really something that they don't understand. I think one of the things that I also know is you don't touch people's regalia without asking.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes for anything else that you have sacred. And I, just like you, Denise, you have your pipe bag, nobody should come touch it,
Mm-hmm.
unless if they ask you first. Just anything like that, because sometimes, it's just a matter of the sacredness of an object.
Uh-huh.
So you do not touch, like even the fringes on the shawl or whatever, because you don't know what kind of prayers went into that, and you don't know what kind of energy you're bringing to that person.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think this is such an important discussion, Chue, because a lot of people do, refer to regalia as a costume, not understanding the detail, the thought, the time, the prayers that are put into creating Pow Wow Regalia and sacred objects, such as the beadwork that you create, or the work that you create with your beading, is incredibly beautiful and potent. And I think a lot of people don't realize that perhaps they shouldn't walk up and touch somebody's regalia and say, wow, that's amazing. Because for a lot of people, they may think they're giving a compliment. So I love the way that every month you educate all of us with regard to, what's appropriate protocol.
In regards to, well, if you're around paws all the time, I think the most appropriate thing to do is, if you admire somebody's costume, or here I am saying costume, if you admire somebody's regalia, like the beadwork, I think one of the things is just tell them. To verbalize it, but not touch, and upon not even asking if you can touch, because it will be up to the person to say, oh, if you want to feel it, go ahead, because they would know. And I would probably imagine that would never ever happen, because again, like I say, our young generation don't know that. A lot of times people just start dancing because they think it's cool,
Mm-hmm.
without really being educated in regards to the items, the objects that they wear.
Chue,
I'm
lady,
finding out more that is so.
yeah, I agree from what I've witnessed. Lady Hawk, Catherine Harrison down in Texas has a question for you. It's a great question. She wants to know if regalia is passed down.
No, not really. In most cases, the origination of an outfit, as we call it, like a buckskin dress, is only made from a long time ago. Was only made for that person. But, however, they say if you have grandchildren or a daughter, that continues, that can happen. But in most cases, it's not, because the way my father explained it to me when he made my buckskin dress, and the very first time I wore it was, he said, "Ungana tokatakya," which means maybe in the future you may pass this down to a daughter that you may have. But he said, in regards to that, you have to go through a ceremony, because he said they have to understand. They have to understand the reasoning and explanation of the buckskin dress,
Mm-hmm.
And why. you're passing it down and why you're going to wear it.
One question that I often hear about something pertaining to that, Chue, is a lot of people will ask me about the jingle dresses and the jingle dancers. That's always a huge question for a lot of people. Will you talk about that for just a minute?
Excuse me. The jingle dress apparently started from the Chippewa tribe. It became a story that was passed down, and this is one of the stories that I heard from my Aunt Rose, Guy's mom, was because she was the first one that I knew made a jingle dress for Doris, and apparently the jingle dress was basically a healing dance. The jingles. This lady apparently was sick, and she had a dream, and she when she come out of her dream or whatever, she had told her daughter that she had to get these cones because the snaring sound of it was going to heal her. So they made the jingles. And at that time, I don't know what they used, but I know what Aunt Rose and them made was they used to have the top parts of the cans, the canned goods.
Yep.
And they would curl it up. They'd wrap it up, and so that's how I remember them making the jingles.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so that's what they did, but there was a lot of work that went into it because you had to crimp the edges so nobody got cut on it, and then they wrapped it, and then they hung it up on a dress. But that jingle dress basically was given to Doris. I remember with the very first time she wore that dress, they were telling her, "You're going to go ahead and heal out there." So I always remember that, and I thought that was so cute. Well, later on, people started wearing the jingle dress, and they were made out of Copenhagen tobacco lids. And I think somebody got the idea. Yeah, somebody got the idea now that they sell the lids. So that's how the cones are made, and then some of them they're already crimped, so you could buy them in bulks. But basically, from what I understand, the story was the jingle dress is a healing. It's a healing dress. When girls wear it, they're out there healing. I mean, when they're dancing and you hear the snaring of the jingles and everything, they're saying prayers and they're healing.
Wow.
And the only time that I know that you remember our cousin Harvey when he was going to pass. Yes. I know that they had a special dance where all the jingle dancers danced around him when they had him out there in the arbor, and they danced around him for healing. But I don't really know, if there's a ceremony that goes with that, because that was not ours. That wasn't the Lakotas. It came from the Chippewas.
Well, thank you for talking about that. I didn't know the history of that either. Thank you for sharing that.
But nowadays, like I said, it just, there's just so much lost, and I had the opportunity to go ahead and go to the powwow with Lois Carrico, and she says hello to you, But I had to explain to her, as we were as we were watching, some of the dancers, long time ago, there never used to be competitive dancing. There was a social gathering, and they used to have exhibition dancing. People would go out there. A singular person would go out there and show off his moves, and if people liked it, they'd throw money down at his feet, and that's how I grew up knowing it. So it's just basically in the mid-'70s was when they started having the money competitions at some of these big powwows, and that's what gathers a lot of people. It kind of lost its its significance is the socializing. Of course, we go there to visit people that we don't see for a while, but it kind of lost its appeal to say, you don't get to do the rabbit dance, you don't get to do the round dance, and all that. Now it's become a competitive arena.
Yeah, and I know that some of the winnings are quite steep. Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of had to laugh at myself because they had a $12,000 first place the drum and singing contest, and I said, "Oh, next year I'm going to go and I'm really going to learn how to sing." So I'm coming back from South Dakota, singing that way in my car.
You could bring your brother-in-law Todd, and then you can split the winnings.
Oh yeah, basically. But again, just be aware. Like we need to go into into gatherings of where there's dancing made. Just the protocol is, just admire. You tell somebody, how if they made their regalia, or if the family made it, or whatever. Those are just the questions, but never to touch.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for that, Chue.
Yeah, and like even yours, your moccasins, and for Todd's, I'm sure you know that they have special meanings to you,
yes.
because I've told you about my dreams, why, the designs came out. That's how deep it goes in regards to beadwork. I am just struggling with this pair of leggings that I'm making that I don't think it's my dream. I don't think it was my call. They wanted me to follow a design, and oh my God, I am stuck with it. I just keep having problems with it. I miss a design here, or I just don't feel like doing it. My mind's not into it, so I'm really struggling, and that's what I believe is if it's not meant for you, then you're going to have a hard time with it.
The dream flows through you.
Yes.
Yeah.
So are we? Yeah, we're almost there. But any more questions? I'm going to go ahead and I just wanted you all to know that I'm going to start writing a lot of the stuff on my web page, more explanation, and probably much more intellectual way of writing some of this down on my page. So just follow it, and then you'll probably get an understanding a little bit more. And I think next year, not next year, but next talk will be about walking in two worlds, because I come to the conclusion that, boy, do I teeter. I really teeter on the fence in two worlds, because I understand both, and sometimes I have to think of how I balance my life, and I think a lot of us come to that point too, is how do we balance our lives in two worlds, because you probably have some family values and some old family traditions, and yet we're coming upon a new generation of people, and a way of life.
Absolutely.
So that would be my next topic next month.
I like that. Wopila Chue for sharing with us this morning.
All right, thank you. I love you all, and just stay safe and protect yourself from illnesses. It's not very good. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.